Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. The Total War Warhammer series has thankfully been enjoying a great deal of attention for a number of years now, with 2 titles under its belt and the third and final one to drop at some point this year. Many players are looking towards what could be added in terms of new factions, races, units and so on. And yes, while I want all that too and more, I also want something that Warhammer needs, and that's a lot of quality of life changes. Warhammer is in need of some quality of life changes in an effort to make the game a much more enjoyable experience for the player. Yes, a lot of these things can be fixed with mods, and in truth many have been added in the form of mods for Warhammer 2, but not everyone plays with mods, and mods themselves do not always work, especially when new official patches drop, which then in turn requires the modders to update their work, and we can't expect them just to drop everything to fix a mod when it eventually breaks. So with that, let's look at some quality of life changes which could be added in Warhammer 3. These aren't in any specific order of importance, as I feel that they have their own standing in this video. Number 1. Changes to Legendary Lord quests when they have a different start position. So as it stands with Warhammer 2, multiple lords have 2 different start positions, one in the Eye of the Vortex and one in the Mortal Empires campaign. That in itself works very well, but there is an issue here, mostly revolving around their quests. Ikit Claw is the perfect example. In the Eye of the Vortex campaign he starts in Lustria, whereas in Mortal Empires he begins in Skavenblight. Yet some of his quests take him to Lustria. This is of course an issue as Lustria is on the other side of the world. It's a little tedious sending an agent over there for a quest when in most cases you want your agents near your own areas, or affecting the enemies directly close to you. This isn't just the case for Ikit, but a number of lords who have had their starting positions changed in different campaigns. It would be fine if it's for some basic quest, but these quests are normally tied to your unique items for your legendary lords, so you can see the issue here. Number 2. Respecking characters that you obtain through Confederation. Confederation is a mechanic often used in Total War, whether you want to pick up a specific legendary lord, or take some territories from a faction of your same race without having to destroy them or rebuild some cities. Confederation will give you access to the characters that the faction may have active. The issue is that the AI will randomly spend skill points, and usually it's on skills that make little to no sense for specific characters. This is not so much of an issue early game as it is later, as early game you really only have to worry about the legendary lords, and chances are that they haven't been leveled up too much. But later game you will end up getting generic characters which have the immortal skill, meaning that they'll just clog up your recruitment pool and be barely ever used. It's likely that having a respec feature just for confederated characters may be too difficult to implement. Maybe if a system was put into place where every lord and hero in your faction could have a single charge to allow for a respec. It would make things a lot easier to manage and give you more incentive to play catch them all with all the legendary lords. Number 3. While we're on the topic of characters, the skill point cost to obtain mounts in my opinion should be removed. Some characters have 1, 2 or maybe even up to 4 mount options. The respective mount options cost skill points, and it may not be so noticeable with certain lords, but that's a decent number of skill points you need to use to unlock them all. It's because of that many players normally unlock 1 mount option or none at all. Those skill points are valuable, we only have a limited amount of them. The mount option issue was tackled slightly with removing the progression tree, but it really needs a little more fixing just to give the players more incentive to try out different mounts. My idea would be have the mount options unlock when hitting certain level thresholds. Even if they get increased in game 3, it would be much better. We already pay increased upkeep for said lords when the mount is active, so the use of skill points seems unnecessary. Number 4. The option to recruit defeated legendary lords. As more and more content is being added to the series, many well-known characters are being made playable. Players like to collect them during their campaigns, as of course these lords are quite unique, though many of these characters for the race that you have chosen are becoming more and more spread out throughout the Warhammer world. With Warhammer 3 coming this year, we're expecting the final map to be absolutely massive, which would also be a factor in this. The further apart these lords are, the more of a chance that you won't be able to establish contact. Some of the lords already in games, such as Nakai and even Skrulk for example, normally get defeated very early on. A possible way to work around this issue would be that as soon as you capture the former starting position of the legendary lord you are after, an event could appear giving you the option to recruit the legendary lord in question, possibly by spending a decent sum of your in-game currency. That way it gives you the feeling that you've earned the lord rather than simply getting him for free. For horde-based characters such as Nakai, if you're playing the Lizardmen, a pop-up could appear a few turns or so after they've been defeated to give you the chance to recruit them. This will allow you a few turns to build up your treasury for when that event pops up. It will also present the situation of having to manage your funds for a few turns. Number 5. Character events after Confederation. Some character items are tied to specific events only available to their starting faction. This has been a reoccurring issue in Warhammer 2 where certain unique rights are needed, and is very noticeable when confederating some lords early on and then triggering an item quest chain. There should be an in-game trigger to skip over these requirements, as these unique items are quite valuable to the legendary lord in question. Number 6. The character selection screen. When first introduced in Warhammer 2, the new character selection screen was rather charming, but as more and more characters are being added in, it's just, and I'm being very honest here, kinda annoying to use. We're due a few more characters with some DLC still being left for Warhammer 2, and we're already waiting for 9 more lords, not counting the pre-order incentive for Warhammer 3. It's just getting super bloated. The character selection screen from older titles such as Attila would probably be the best, where each of the factions are separated into their own culture sections. Then by clicking the specific culture, then you will be presented with the available factions. It's just nice not having to scroll around through a large selection menu, especially as more lords are being added. Number 7. Diplomacy needs a complete rework. The diplomacy system in Total War Warhammer must easily be the weakest system added out throughout all of Total War. Even much older titles have a more stylized system for their respective settings. I'll likely cover this in a much greater detail in a future video, but for now we'll outline the issues. It is incredibly basic with no user-friendly interaction, barring dropping a bunch of money to other factions to get a confederation or an alliance. There is also little to no incentive to ally up with anyone. In fact, it's worse for you to do so, as your allies will sometimes request you to join wars that you have no interest taking part in. Even worse so, should you decline, you will take a massive reliability hit, which could lead to other factions declaring war on you, and all it really does is makes your campaign harder as it takes a turn for the worst. The system needs to be improved upon. It's probably one of the weakest features in Troy. I'm not saying it has to be as detailed as, say for example, Three Kingdoms, but maybe similar to that of a Total War Saga Troy. Or at the very least, if you are forced into this situation where your reliability is tanked, perhaps with 2 allies declaring war on each other, as this is very common, at least add some other methods to be able to gain reliability up. Number 8. More battle maps for every type of battle are very much needed. We're currently having very little possible battle maps, with the grand majority of them in game being reskins of each other. Every match becomes the same old, load in, same deployment as the other 5 matches you've just done, and rinse and repeat. Different terrain and map types will at least eliminate some of the monotony. While we're at it, actual settlements for settlements. I'm not mentioning a siege rework here, as we're all pretty sure we're getting one in Game 3. I mean, if we don't, there's going to be a lot of angry fans, so yeah, I think a siege rework is going to be there. And number 9, which really ties into our 8th point, battle maps need to be looked at when it comes to reinforcements. Why are two of my armies who are attacking the same enemy from the exact same side appearing at different locations? More specifically, why are my reinforcements coming from behind my enemies when they clearly attacked them head on? It's an issue for both the player if relying on two armies, but more so the AI, who really doesn't know how to deal with these types of situations, especially if their allies come from behind. They're normally taken out quite easily as they start spawning in. Number 10. A dismount option for mounted lords would be fantastic, even for some units too, as of course this is something that Bretonnia desperately needs, and in most cases you've got a mount option, you want to go in and do your damage on foot sometimes, especially during any siege warfare. This isn't obviously everything, but these are the things that obviously strike out to me the most. I would mention a Horde rework in this video, but then again, I'm expecting the next DLC to be featuring the Beastmen, which would then in theory also have a Horde rework. I know I've forgotten some minor things like for example settlement trading, but I'm assuming that that stuff will eventually get added in later. If it ever does, of course. Though with that being said, what have I potentially missed out? Is there anything that you think needs to be added into Total War Warhammer 3 upon launch, or anything that just really needs to be changed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.